Hi everybody, this is Dark Storm Comic Reviews here with a review on the final issue. Yep, the final issue of the Green Goblin series, where we see our hero take his final appearance as the Green Goblin and to glide no more. Okay, so yeah, this story, like from the last issue, if you didn't see that video, the Green Goblin, Urich, was fighting the Sentinel, which is like a giant robot that's programmed to like destroy mutants and superhumans. Anyways, he was fighting with the Sentinel. He ended up winning the battle. Like he ended up strapping some pumpkin bombs to his glider, rammed it into the Sentinel's head, and then the Sentinel's head exploded, which was good. But it also, some debris from the Sentinel smashed into his mask while Phil was like flying down onto the ground, and it damaged his mask. So basically, yeah, Urich got his Green Goblin mask Phil got his Green Goblin mask damaged in a battle with the Sentinel. So that's why the mask is all broken and damaged. And this could spell the end for Urich as the Green Goblin. So yeah, Phil's kind of contemplating his life. He's like, well, now that my mask is damaged, I mean, what the heck am I supposed to do, you know? I don't want to really leave this gig. I mean, the Green Goblin gig was like a really fun ride. I don't want to bail on this gig. So he goes, well, maybe I don't have to, because it just so happens I know a friend who's very good at electronics and tech, and so maybe he can fix my mask. And that friend just happens to be Fast Freddy Glazer, who is Phil's longtime best friend since high school. He's made appearances in the earlier issues, but yeah, Phil's like, maybe I can take it to Freddy and he can help me fix the mask. And, you know, Freddy's like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. So he tries to look at the circuitry of the mask. And he tries to play Mr. Fix-It, as Phil says, but he's not able to do it. He tries for like 2 hours to fix the mask, but after 2 hours, Freddy kind of admits defeat. So see him trying to fix it here. But, so yeah, Phil's like, okay, well, that didn't work, but I got to get to my job. So he goes to hot-foot it to the bugle, but then he finds out that there are people in the lobby who are all sad and upset and kind of crying, and he's like, what's going on here? And this guy goes, well, the bugle needs to downsize, you know, like any business, you know, it's like the bugle wants to downsize, you know, they're having layoffs for the people who worked here for years, and also they're also firing a lot of interns, which feels like, what, the interns? But that's me, I'm an intern. So Phil's kind of shocked and scared, but he also like, well, my Uncle Ben's like the top reporter, so I should be in the clear, and I should be fine, but what about Meredith and Lynn? So he goes in to check him on his buddies, and, you know, Lynn's having a hard time about it because she's like, oh, you know, I really wanted a job here, you know, this sucks, you know, this is totally unfair. And Mary's like, well, yeah, but try to remember, Lynn, we're in college, you know. Think about the people who have families and stuff, you know, they're probably taking it worse than we are. And Lynn is the blonde one, by the way, and Meredith Campbell is the one with black hair. And Lynn's like, yeah, that's easy for you to say, but I really wanted a job here. You know, life sucks for me right now. So yeah, Lynn's obviously taking it pretty hard, and, you know, feels like, you know, I better go check on my uncle to see how he's doing. You see some other people getting fired. This guy's name is Conover, by the way. I don't really know much about him, to be honest. He might play a big part in the Spider-Man comics, I don't know. But yeah, he's getting fired too. So apparently the interns and the people who worked here for years are just getting fired due to layoffs at the Bugle. So Phil goes to his Uncle Ben. He's worried about his Uncle Ben, so he goes to check on him. Sees Uncle Ben talking to Robbie, and Phil thinks Uncle Ben is getting laid off too. But it turns out that Phil's the one who actually is getting laid off. Uncle Ben's like, you know, Phil, I tried to talk them into keeping you. You know, I've always cared about you. You know, you've been doing a good job here. But I just couldn't. Yeah, I just couldn't keep you on. They had to lay you off. They had to downsize because that's just the way things go. So he says, but hey, I'll make sure to tell your parents that you're doing a fine job, and I don't want to make it seem like, you know, you quit because you got lazy or anything like that, because, you know, you really were a fine worker. And his Uncle Ben has always kind of looked out for him, so I always thought that was pretty cool. But anyways, the Bugle was deserted. Phil's just kind of depressed. He's like, well, first I lose my goblin abilities, you know, my goblin powers. Now I'm losing my job as an intern. Like, could this week like get any worse? Like, I've still got like 6 days left to go. So he runs into this guy named Derek Gratham, and he's like a a very arrogant, kind of jerky guy. He's very stuck up and snobby, and he's very arrogant basically. And walks up to him and he tries to be a good guy. It's like, I heard what happened to you, man. I'm sorry about that. And he goes, yeah, whatever. I fainted. Whatever. It's all true. Yeah, I know. I fainted. I bet you all are yucking it up right now. But see, here's the thing, Phil. I make straight A's, and I'm better than you, and my future's secure. I'm gonna be somebody. You're just gonna be a loser for the rest of your life. And yeah, he's a jerk basically, from what you can tell from this. But anyways, it feels like I think you're wrong, Derek, because I'm Phil Urich, and I happen to be the Green Goblin. So you see here he's been suiting up, and his whole thinking is that I lost my powers, my abilities as the Green Goblin. But if Daredevil can fight off bad guys without any superhuman abilities, then so can I. And we get this funny scene where he's like, well, my mask is destroyed, so I don't really have my super strength or my reflexes. And he has like these goblin skates where, if he doesn't have his glider around, he can like use these skates on the bottom of his goblin boots to fly. They literally look like roller skates, but they can actually like keep him in the air and help him to fly in the air, help him to glide without the use of his glider, which those are actually pretty cool, by the way. But since he doesn't have his mask, he can't use his blades because his mask activates not only his super strength and everything, but his goblin roller skates too to glide in the air. So that's not going to work. So he needs a new transportation and he needs a new mask. And the best Phil can obviously come up with is a ski mask and a bicycle. And it's a really funny scene. Like truly does look like a dork with his bicycle and his ski mask. But I don't know, I just thought it was a funny scene. And at least he's trying. But anyways, he attaches his bike to the lock. He tries to go out and save the day, but of course he doesn't have any of that strength like Daredevil has because he's not in the best of shape. So he tries to get creative and stack some trash cans up to reach the ladder. He reaches the building finally. And of course without his powers, it makes the scaling buildings a lot tougher. But he gets there and he's like, he sees a cry for help. Some purse snatchers have snatched this old lady's purse and they're running off with it. So he tries to stop them by throwing a couple pumpkin bombs. But sadly, his strength and his reflexes aren't there. So he can neither throw fast nor strong. He ends up like exploding a bunch of buildings. And he's like, oh, this kind of sucks. This kind of looks really, really bad. At least he's trying. But without his strength, he's pretty much kind of useless. And then they're like, oh, some guy's lobbing fireworks at us. What are we going to do? And they're like, yeah, let's go get this guy. But thankfully, before Phil gets his butt kicked, Spider-Man shows up and saves the day. Now, this is, those of you people with comics, you'll recognize the costume. This is actually the Ben Reilly Spider-Man. This isn't the Peter Parker Spider-Man. Not that any of this matters, honestly. But I just wanted to lay on, no, this is the Ben Reilly Spider-Man with his costume design and everything. And Ben Reilly's a clone of Spider-Man, so I just thought I'd point that out real quick. It's not important at all. But anyways, Ben Reilly, Spider-Man's taking out the bad guys. One's webbed up, one's tied up, and then Phil is basically like, wow, he's so experienced, Spider-Man, he's taking them all out. He has experience, confident, witty, relaxed, agile, and super strong. Everything that I'm not. And, he's getting kind of depressed. He's like, I don't have any of that at all, especially without my goblin powers. And he sees more action. We see lady pulls out a gun, Spider-Man whips her up. And the lady gets her purse returned, and Phil's just kind of sitting in the background like, wow, he didn't even notice me. He didn't even glance my way. Like, maybe he's laughing behind my back. And Phil's just in a really bad funk. He's like, I lost my goblin powers. I lost my job. I'm pretty useless. And can things get any worse? And of course they do, because his bike ends up getting stolen. And yeah, he just kind of walks off to his apartment building. It's a pretty sad day for him. But so we get to this scene. He's like, what am I going to do? He's just kind of being all mopey. But to be fair, he lost his job and his powers. So I can kind of see why he's being a little mopey. But yeah, he's being mopey. And then he gets a call from Lynn, the blonde lady he likes. And she's like, hey, Phil, maybe you could come by. We could, hash some stuff out. I just really want to talk to you. And obviously, he's like, yeah, my first wants to talk to me. Something good finally came out of all this mess. So he goes to this bar called Anthony's, I think it's called, and he meets up with Lynn, and Lynn is just so basically Lynn's like, hey, so maybe you could print up some files, some of your uncle's old files on the new Green Goblin, and we could get to work. I think my little impression, me making out with him really made an impression on him. I think we could parlay this into jobs at the Times or other newspaper stories. Kind of being a jerk, honestly. She just doesn't even want to talk to him for him. She just wants to use him to get a job at another newspaper company. She's really kind of a jerk. But anyways, Phil laughs and yeah, whatever. No, I'm not doing that. He's kind of just yeah, right. I'm not. No. He actually sticks up for himself this time, and then that was pretty cool. It's yeah, you're a joke, Lynn. Come on. So then he walks away, and then Meredith, his other friend who, comes by, grabs his hand, and is hey, you can't just leave yet. You owe it to these people who lost their jobs. She says a good line, it's right here. It says, we may have lost our jobs today, but the friendships still belong to us. It's a pretty cool line. Keep in touch would require a bit more effort, and he's yeah, I'm willing to apply myself, and oh goody, I am too. You can see sort of a relationship going on that they may get together, but as far as I know, because Phil's been in other stuff, and I may cover it someday. I'm really just focusing on his Green Goblin career, but I don't think they ever end up together in the future. You never really see Meredith ever again, as far as I'm concerned, and the writers never elaborated on what happened between them, or if they ever got in a relationship, or if they ever broken up, and it's always made me curious. I know in an alternate timeline, I think they're together and married and have kids, but as far as the main Marvel continuity, they never got together as far as I know, and I really have no idea. So it alludes that they got together though in this, but yeah, so that's cool. Because obviously they're really close friends, so it kind of makes sense, and she doesn't look too bad, to be honest. So anyway, so yeah, they get together. It alludes to that. And then Phil gets his mask. And he's you know what? My Goblin career is obviously finished. I'm nothing really. That's what he goes over earlier, too. I forgot to mention. Without his powers, I'm nothing. I'm not the Goblin. I don't have the super strength. I don't have any of that. He literally needs the super strength of the Goblin. He really needs his Goblin powers in order to function, to be able to be a superhuman. And without his powers and abilities, he can't really match up with any of the other guys. He can't even take out a simple purse snatching. So he's maybe it's time for me to give it up. Time for me to focus on my future. I've got the money that I got with the arcade. I covered that in another issue too. He fought this guy called Arcade, and he ended up winning some money, a lot of money. So he's I'm going to use that money that I won from beating Arcade to focus on my future. Maybe I can get back into college. And it's time for me to basically put all my stuff up, all my toys up. It's time for me to grow up and act like a man for once in my life. So, just packing up all this stuff. Packing up all his tools and his Goblin mask. And yeah, we get to the last scene where he's walking back to the old Osborn warehouse where everything started. And he's this is where everything began, where I got dumped in that green vat of chemicals and found all my old equipment. This is where it truly began. We get a cool picture here with a flashback sequence of the Goblin flying and him just kind of contemplating everything. And then he goes, he just dumps all his stuff in a nearby trash can. Let's see. Just want to get this last part here. Yeah, and see, there's a trash can. He's dumped all his Goblin equipment. And here we get the last line of dialogue, which I'm gonna read. Sure, this city is full of masked jerks and muscle-bound vigilantes, but there's never been a costume dude like me. And that's where it ends. You get the Goblin image right here. You get Phil here. You get the suit. And yeah, it's over. It's done. That is the end of his story. For now. Which I might cover later on someday, but it won't be for a while. I really just wanted to cover his Green Goblin career. But yeah, and I want to give some real quick thoughts on the... I just wanted to get some real quick thoughts on the story real quick. So, I really like the ending to this issue. I liked how everything kind of wrapped up. You get to see Phil's story end. It ends pretty abruptly, but I think it ends in a pretty good way. And he's finally getting his life together. He's finally ditching the Goblin year. He's finally heading off to his college and working to become something. He's finally getting a grip on his life and knows what he wants to do. So I thought it was a really good ending to this issue, and to just elaborate on the whole series, my experience with it and stuff like that. I really like this series. I wish, to be honest, this series would have kept going on, because I thought, I like the idea of there being a heroic Green Goblin, because, the Green Goblin is like my favorite villain in Marvel Comics and in Spider-Man history. And to see a different take on the Green Goblin, to him being like a superhero, that was just awesome to me, and I wish this could have kept going on. Could have gone for more issues. And the reason why, I don't know if you guys know this, but the reason why it got so canceled so abruptly was because they had to bring Norman Osborn back. And they had to bring Norman Osborn back as the villain for Spider-Man. And this was the first time Marvel actually brought Norman Osborn back since he died in that Spider-Man issue where he battled Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy died. Yeah, since Norman Osborn died in the Gwen Stacy issue, so this was the first time they were bringing Norman Osborn back. The main villain is Green Goblin, so they kind of had to get rid of Phil Urich pretty quick. But yeah, I wish this series would have gone on longer, a few more issues at least. It kind of ended abruptly. I mean, it was still a good ending. It was a pretty good send off to the character, but I wish it would have gone on longer. And I really like this series, and I'm glad I got to cover all 13 issues. I'm glad you guys got to join me on this adventure. For those of you who did or who didn't join me, I'm just glad I got to talk about it. So, yeah, I'll hopefully be covering more comic book reviews. This is the end of Phil Urich's Green Goblin journey. Maybe I'll cover some more Phil Urich, some of his later stories. It's not completely the end, too, because there are some other appearances with Phil Urich as the Green Goblin. Not a part of this main storyline, but he has made some crossovers in other books, too, that I didn't cover. Maybe I'll cover that someday. But as far as his main solo series, this is definitely the end. So yeah, I'm glad you guys got to join me, and this is Darkstorm Comic Reviews signing off. This is truly the end.